Hello and welcome to the Gallant Few Rangers podcast. A very special edition, the Gallant Few Returns for Season 2. It's been a long summer, but as always, I'm back in the hot seat. My name's Colin McDuff and I'm delighted to be joined by Graeme Curry. Graeme, how are you doing?
Very well, Colin. Thanks for having me back on for the start of the new season. I think you've got a flag to unfurl.
Aye, we do. Instead of the flag, can I just wear my Calvin Bassey bucket hat?
That does fine.
I don't know if we covered this at the end of last season. Oh, by the way, I should say the last time we recorded a Gallant Few podcast, we were league champions. A few months later on, we're still league champions. It's just in case anyone forgot, anyone's wondering why we're talking about flying the flag, we're still champions.
Normal service resumes.
It does. But towards the end of last season, I did buy my Calvin Bassey 55 champion bucket hat. I was going over to Dublin the week after for a couple of weeks. So I thought, this was in my drunken state, thinking, no, what I don't want to wait till I'm back to wear it. I'll get it delivered. So I'm like, I'll pay the £20 to buy the hat, thinking it'll be whatever standard postage fee. The postage to Dublin was £20. I paid fucking double the price.
Worth it. You look cracking it on.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. So it was a long summer. I'm sure everybody enjoyed the Euros, but it's so good to have the Rangers back into it. Graeme, how are you feeling about pre-season and the upcoming season?
It's a bit of a void in it. It's the summer breaks. It's just you've got nothing to read about. There's no excitement going on. It's just so sort of flat. The excitement was the Euros and seeing how Kamara, Barisic, Patterson would do, and it was really only Kamara that got a run at. Barisic was injured. Patterson get 5 minutes at the end of a game, and yeah, it was only really Kamara. But I thought Kamara stood out well. I was rooting for him obviously for the tournament. Thought he done quite well. Lost the midfield a few times, so
it's quite bittersweet. See the first game, you're like on yourself, Glenn Kamara. Then it's the second game and the third game he played really well. You're like, fucking hold on now, don't do too well. It's simmer down.
It's the same for this friendly that's coming up. You're about to play Real Madrid, and you're like, do we really want to show off all our talent to these guys because they'll get snapped up?
Oh, I know. Obviously, all eyes are on Brighton. That's a glamour friendly. Real Madrid, so I'd imagine it'd be Andy Firth in goals. Maybe Leon King will get a run out. All eyes on Brighton on Saturday, I'm sure. So let's, there's hundreds to talk about. Okay, we were saying this off air. There's so much that has been and gone since we last spoke. But let's run down the new signings. So there's 3 notable signings. Obviously, Jermaine Defoe had his year extension, but we've got John Lundstrom, Namdi Ofoba. I've been practicing that all summer, and Fashion Sakala. So I think the marquee signing so far, I'm saying so far, disclaimer, John Lundstrom, Graeme. Not to put us down too much, but I was really surprised we managed to get him.
Aye, it must be the Gerrard factor with this one, I think. I'm not sure how we've managed that one, but very good signing. A lot of people interested in him, and he's decided to come up here to win another trophy. Yeah, I was surprised as well that we've got that high level of calibre of a player. As I say, I can only put it down to the Gerrard factor that he's wanting to play for him. Obviously, Rangers are a big club, but that must have swung it as well. So, I'm happy to see him. I think we was talking at the end, one of the last pods before the season wrapped up, about Defoe. I think the majority of us were saying that we wanted him to get another extension. So I think we're all glad to see that getting done as well. He's moved into a coaching role, so it's not just a player role, it's a player-coach role. But from what I've read, I think he's going to still be focusing mainly on the playing side of things, and he'll pick up the coaching as he goes. It's not going to be a 50% job share type thing. It's going to be majority playing, and he'll easy sell into the coaching role. So I'm delighted with that. And then I don't know anything about the Sakala or Offerbo.
All I know about Fashion Sakala, he's the fucking happiest man alive to be at Rangers. All his interviews, he's so buzzing, isn't he? If he
one in the trophy room, and he walks into the trophy room, and his eyes light up like everybody's does the first time you walk into the trophy room. Your eyes light up to see it all. But he was exceptionally pleased to be there.
If he can translate a fraction of that enthusiasm onto the pitch, I think he'll do all right. Just on the form, the biggest thing with I agree with you, absolutely did want more sentiment reasons. I wanted him to get a contract extension, but I'm delighted it's a player coach role, and that's almost setting the expectation that he does still have a part to play. But it's just setting the expectation he's not going to be week in, week out. Probably not going to be an option at the Champions League or Europa League, depending how we get on. But he does still have that role to play. Because I think, I did wonder that at the end of the last season, does he still see himself as a 30 games a season, 40 games a season striker at a lower level? But I'm glad he's signed on, because it's, while he will have a role to play in the pitch, a small role, albeit, I think his experience is invaluable, especially for the likes of the younger players, Offerbo and Sakala coming through.
It's not just, it's the competition as well. If you've got something like that on the training pitch, and I bet he's banging in goals left, right and centre on the training pitch, it makes the other strikers, perk up and say, if I'm known on form, my place will get took by a very experienced striker proven striker who will score goals. So there's many benefits to it, and I agree. I don't think he's going to play a lot of games, but I think what we can say is we know we can rely on him, because whenever he did come on last season, he's scoring goals, he's popping up and scoring.
Absolutely. So in terms of the transfer front, this is a hard question to gauge when I ask you, because we are, time of recording, 22nd of July, we're 9 days away from the Scottish season kicking off, but most of the major leagues are well into August. A lot of the big clubs in Europe are just coming back to pre-season. The transfer window is always a domino effect, and it works the top way down. So it's hard to gauge who's going to come in and out over the next 6 weeks. But at first glance, is there any areas you want Rangers to be targeting in terms of improving on?
No, not at all. I'll stick to the position I had at the end of last season, where I didn't think we needed MD. I think our squad's strong enough. The way we finished up, we have strengthened, and Gerrard did say we were going to strengthen. So I expect that we will bring in a couple of players still to come. But even with the squad we've got at the moment, I'd be confident to kick off. So no, there's no particular area that I think we need to strengthen. We're good to go, unless we lose players. But I don't see any hint of that. I don't see any rumours of people leaving. I don't know if you've heard anything or seen anything. What you're thinking?
No, other than the big obvious elephants in the room, Connor Goldson entering the last year of his contract. Glenn Kamara, he's got 2 years left, but he had a terrific European Championships. And Alfredo Morelos. I agree with you. I think at the very least, if we lose any of them, we will replace them. But if to hit the same heights as last season, to win the league and do well in the Europa League, I'm comfortable with the squad. I did say at the end of last season I'd like a wee bit more beef in the midfield. I think with Lundstrom, Offerbo and our boy Stephen Kelly potentially being an option. And I think it's a long season. When you play with three midfielders, it's a long season. There's a lot of games to be played, and I think you've seen that towards the end of last season, where we had Ryan Jack out, Scott Arfield out for a while, and it was just Davis, Kamara and Aribo. So with these guys potentially being options, but Lundstrom is more than an option, he's a contender.
A good point about Kelly. I think he's had a good couple of performances, and people have took a shine to him as well, haven't they, for the few friendly that have already been. He's one for stepping up, or do you think he's a potential loanee? Do you think he's on his way out for another season?
I've tried to follow him quite closely the last couple of years, and when he won the Ayr United Player of the Year 2 years ago, there and then I thought he was ready for the step up to the SPFL. Mm-hmm. It was, I don't know, I think it was a decent loan move to Ross County, but it's probably not the best move. That they were a 4-5-1 and it was long ball football for the most of the season, so it kind of bypassed the midfield.
And they chopped their manager a couple of times, didn't they?
Exactly.
A couple of times, but they certainly chopped their manager once. A bit of circumstances up at Ross County, whatever, but that's probably had an impact as well. But Kai Kennedy was another one that I thought maybe was ready for the step up, but I think news today that he's off to Dunfermline for the season. Again, that'll be a good move for him, but yeah, probably on the same level as Kelly, maybe just a wee step ahead of him and ready for the first team, and Kennedy's not.
For me, Stephen Kelly, I do think he's ready for the first team. He's not going to start week in, week out, but he definitely has a role to play. And I think you can see the progression. Ayr United, then Ross County, then into the Rangers squad. With Kai Kennedy, I'm actually I don't want to write it off, but I'm not disappointed, but I'm quite surprised that he's remained in the Championship. I would have liked to have seen him have a step up into the SPFL, because if we're talking about that, this guy was linked with West Ham and Norwich last week. There's obviously talent there, and anybody who's seen him play knows there's talent. But she'll have to be realistic about getting in the Rangers squad anytime soon. You don't want to be spending any more time than one season in the Championship.
Yeah, you'd think he's learnt his lesson, haven't you? Last season he's learnt how to do it. He's how to do it. Knew it's time to step up, but not quite yet.
Right. But Rangers have put in the recall clause in January as well. So is this a case of he had 6 months last season? No, they had different 6 month spells last season, and it's another 6 months. See how he continues to develop with men's football, then maybe send him out elsewhere later on in the season. I don't really know what the plans are. It's a strange one. I think we just need to wait and see. In my heart of hearts, something tells me that he'll not be a Rangers player long term, just with all the speculation that's been around him with the contract talks. And he's never really out of the papers in terms of there's somebody looking into him. You'd need to wonder how much of this is agent talk. I don't know if Rangers have maybe got to try and get a good 6 months out of him at Dunfermline, and then maybe cash in at the right price.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. Side, we've got Ben Williamson. He's kind of went through the Stephen Kelly, Robbie McCrory route. He's on loan to Livingston, had a decent loan spell at Arbroath last year. Kind of surprising, because no surprising. He's kind of went under the radar the last couple of years because there's been a lot of big names coming out of the academy: Nathan Patterson, Kai Kennedy, Robbie McCrory, and Stephen Kelly. Ben Wilson's kind of done his job quietly for the B team, went out, done really well for Arbroath, and this is a big season for him, I think. Yeah,
and he's going to a club where I think we trust what's going on over there at Livingston, because we've sent a few players there, so we must trust that they're going to get handled well. And Livy done well at the start of the season. I think they fell away. When that manager Martindale took over, he had a great first 10 games, but then they fell away and became, just what you expect for Livy. But we must have trust in that club to look after our players, and let's see how he gets on. But that's the step you're wanting, it. You want them to play at that level. So, sorry to interrupt, Colin. Just another point that I've seen. I'm going to try and shoehorn Patterson and Tav into the squad, into the same team. In which case, does that push Tav into the midfield? Does he become a midfield player, and then that's another enforcement in the midfield, if you like, that we need? No, I'm going to sound like a bit of a hypocrite here, because I've always
I've always hated the fact of shoehorning players in, regardless of their position, and I criticise Steve Clark for many a time. I think Tierney's developed into a left-sided centre half, but at first it's play Robertson or Tierney. Don't play Tierney right back, and it really annoyed me. And I've always been like that. You play your best players in the best positions. Mm-hmm. Having said that, and sound like an absolute hypocrite, I can see Tavernier potentially growing into a midfield role. No against your Porto away in the Europa League or whatever, but maybe at home to a St Mirren in the league where you've got to dominate the ball, you need to be driving for deep. I could see him potentially doing a job in there. So is that, talking about the amount of games that the players are going to play, is that another option for the midfield? I don't think it's a reasonable option against always go into that old cliche. Do you start them there away to Parkhead? Probably not, but is it an option you can use throughout the season? What's your thoughts on it?
It makes me think that we've got so many midfielders though, but how do you want Patterson to develop. He's only going to develop by getting games. He's not going to shift Tav out of right back unless Tav moves to another position. So, but if you're going to shift Tav into midfield, you're then having to drop one of 6 cracking midfielders that we've got. So, yeah, it's a bit of a conundrum. I don't know how it's going to work out. I don't even know if Tav can play in centre mid. I don't know how good he is at all. I'm sure he'll do a job. He's fast, can pass a ball, but is his strength getting down the line? That seems to be his strength in his game, is getting down the line and crossing balls in. But maybe he just needs to develop that, and maybe he can become a sort of box-to-box midfielder that we might need. Because he's plenty of energy.
Looking at it from another angle, maybe we do need to rotate the squad a wee bit more. And I'm not a fan of, that's every second week you're rotating the key positions. But if you look at last season, we were so relying on Connor Goldson. Up until Tav got injured, we were so relying on him. They were never dropped. In midfield, towards the end of last season, as I mentioned earlier, with Steve Davis, Glenn Kamara and Joe Aribo for the most part, is it a case that if we're aiming to play at a higher level, if we're aiming to play at Champions League, we're aiming to do better in the domestic trophies, do we need to potentially rotate a wee bit more? Because it's, go to Connor Goldson, for example, he played every minute, every game last year. It can't be realistic to expect him to do that 2 seasons in the trot. It's not feasible, I don't think.
No, it's certainly a dilemma that the manager's got to sort out in it. But great dilemma to have 2 great players like that to try and fit in.
On Connor Goldson, we kind of glanced over it earlier. What's your thoughts on the whole? He's got 1 year left in his contract. Do we need to cash in or just hold tight or what?
No, I think hold tight. The defence is doing well, so if we have to lose maybe a player a season like this, then maybe that's okay. As long as it's not, it doesn't become a habit. He's such a crucial part of the defence that I think it's worth holding on, trying to get him signed up, for another 2 seasons, another 3-year contract, if we can. And then even maybe see how we are in January. How are we getting on by January? Could we possibly sell him then? Obviously, we wouldn't get much money for him. And he could potentially leave in a free or a Bosman 6 months down the line. But yeah, I know we don't like to do it. I know it's not the sort of business model or whatever, but for a purely football thing, I would be keeping him regardless, and just if he's happy to stay, if it suits him as well to stay on for a season and then see what his options are. But I'd be keen to keep him.
And I wonder if there was ever a conversation about him running down his contract. And I know it's not the sensible thing to do, and you can't do it with every player, but is there maybe a bit of a sentiment behind it? Whereas if you help us get to, winning the league, help us get into the Champions League, we'll let you stay for that season, then go. I mean, think if he stays to help us into the Champions League proper, then that's worth, 30 million. How much would you get for Conor Ralston? 20 million? I don't know. Like, does it balance itself out?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. It's probably maybe just a reward. It's a reward for him to say, on you go and get yourself a big sign-on fee at the next place. But just see us all right, and we'll see you all right, sort of thing.
I would have, regardless of how it went, I would have no ill feeling towards Conor Ralston. Even if it was a case that he just sees out the last year his contract, or if he was to no sign a contract and move for one last crack at the Premiership this transfer window, I don't have any ill feeling towards him after the last couple of years, and especially last season. He's one of the key players who led us to 55, so it's always got to hold a lot of weight for me.
Yeah, I think he was player of the year for most people, wasn't he? It was, outstanding performance. Are we covered? If he was to leave next week, are we covered? I think we might be. I think we've got enough at the back. Katic, Hollander, Simpson's coming through. No? Would you want a replacement?
Well, I think you've got Balogun, Hollander, Katic. I was always a fan of George Edmondson. I see him going out on loan, but I think Simpson absolutely splits opinion. I think, well, the majority of people do agree that Simpson is a project player, but it's kind of two camps. Oh, we need him time. He will come good. The other camp is he's never going to come good. Craig McAdam of this parish, he's very much in the get him in the bin camp, but I think he's really harsh. I think he was never signed to be a regular first team player straight away. I think we do need to give him a bit of time. So
replace Goldson? Would you replace Goldson if we lost him next week?
Aye, the likes of anybody that goes for the first 11 would replace him. I'm dead keen on that. I kind of agree with you. I don't think we need to add too many. Maybe there's an argument if we do get to the Champions League, you maybe want to add a wee bit more quality in certain areas. But I think right now it's anybody goes out and replace them. Other than that, I'm happy.
We qualify as well. We attract a higher calibre of player, don't you? Automatically, you're going to get a higher calibre player because you're saying, you want to play in the Champions League, come to us.
And just on the Champions League qualifiers then, so Malmo played Helsinki yesterday. Malmo won 2-1, 2-1 at home. Obviously, the away goal rule is no longer a thing, so it's, Malmo are going in favourites. I think they were always favourites for the tie. See the prospect of hearing the Champions League music again at a full house at Ibrox the 10th of August. We'll be back, hopefully, if the roadmap stays as is.
Well, that's according to Rangers. I don't know how that works. They've just put that in that statement that they said, we'll have a full house by the 10th of August. And I so hope that's the case. I said at the end of last season as well that I thought by this point we would have full capacity stadiums. I just fear that they're going to just throw a spanner in the works and just try and halt it somehow. It's just. But yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, if we can get what a feeling that'll be again to hear that Champions League music and stadium, everybody doing the bouncy, there's no greater feeling as so.
I know. But you're right when you said it did come for the Rangers, and with the way things have went the last few months, you wouldn't be surprised if the SNP just read their statement and thought, no, what, fuck them, half capacity.
I know.
Obviously, you would have seen it on social media and all the announcements and stuff. So we've got the friendly against Brighton this Saturday. 8,000 people. Just over 24 hours later, the numbers allowed jump up to 12,750. Celtic playing in the same city, the same level of game, friendly, allowed 18,000, sorry, more than double what Rangers are getting in the same day. I mean, there's all the way through the pandemic, there's been questions put on the government about is that right or is that wrong, but this is just fucking nonsense, isn't it?
There's no logic to it. A lot of the things have been like that. There's, football aside, there's just no logic to what's going on, and it's not that it's not like the average man's not a scientist and doesn't understand it. It's a lot of it just looks like common sense. Like how is this not possible when you're seeing stadiums full? In London, 300 miles away, Wembley's absolutely packed. Wimbledon's packed. People are sitting side by side, and yet we kind of seem to manage to get a football game on with a decent crowd. It's just bizarre. You try and think about it and say, well, what is it? It's not to do with sitting next to each other. Is it to do with being in the concourses? Is it to do with travelling to the games? What is the issue? And there's no sort of logic or real evidence to point you towards why they're doing it. But yeah, that's just ridiculous. Between 24 hours that they can get so many in their stadium and we can't. There must be some dark arts behind the scenes that prevent us.
I'm convinced it's just a fucking dartboard. Many were let into that game. Right, okay, how many darts can you hit? Round it up. It's fucking bizarre.
The thing as well, it's like, okay, we'll let you have 2,000 fans in. That's your limit, but you can apply to have more. It's like, what's the point of that? Just what is the limit? Just give us the full limit, and then we'll make that work. Nonsense. I hopefully not too long before we've got a full Ibrox.
Aye, so right now the plans are 17,000 are expected to be in the opening game at Livingston, which is, that's a week on Saturday, the 31st. We're hopeful for full capacity and on the 10th of August. I think all parties are hopeful for full capacity for the Old Firm on the 29th of August. Flag Day has been moved to the 18th of September against Motherwell, Graeme. I think that was the right thing to do. Obviously, traditionally, it's the first home game of the season, you fly the flag, but to give as big a chance as possible for full capacity and for as many fans as possible to see that, I think that was the right thing by the club, the right move.
Definitely. Agreed.
Yeah. Obviously, the question is, why not against Celtic on the 29th of August? I think Police Scotland were consulted, so I think I'll tell you why the flag will not be flung there. But I'm sure we can take it in. I mean, you all take your flags, I'll take my bucket hat and get it right up them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. On the subject of having a chuckle and getting it right up Celtic, I don't want to spend too much time on them, but they'll always be our biggest competitors for the league. Is there much worrying you coming from that end?
Absolutely not. You see, they've still got Barkas in goals.
Did you not see the goal they conceded the other day?
The ball went through his horns. I don't know how he's managed that. Oh, it's fantastic.
You know how he extended his elbows?
No, it's fantastic. They're a shambles. They're an absolute shambles. The whole thing has been a shambles. The appointment of that manager just seems so odd. Kennedy's still there, Strachan's still there. It's just fantastic to be watching it. That has been my entertainment, to be honest. There's not been much Rangers news that I need to. Been watching it, been getting on the follow and looking at the forums and stuff like that. And there's a few threads about like harping back to the old days, and I like reading threads like that, people's memories of the old games and things like that. But in terms of live entertainment or up to date entertainment, it's all came from Parkhead. It's been, that's where all the entertainment's came from. Howe's turned them down. This new guy's come in, and they just seem a sham. No players that are getting signed. when you see that the squad was getting announced for Europe and things, and like, where are all the players? How have they no get players in the door yet? But aye, that's been my entertainment. I've had a right good laugh at them.
I love their commitment to try and get in. See all the shit we went through of nonsense for like 7-8 years, and like I will always say that I held on hope longer than most that things were going to be okay with that regime. But see, when we had the gazebo for the AGM, that's when I was like, nah, I can't even get a glimmer of hope for this. So all that shit we had over 7-8 years, they're trying to just fit it. They're trying to break the record for how much nonsense they can put in. All the shambles last season, how knocking them back, the manager having to apply for a special license again because he doesn't have his right badges. I mean, it's very easy to make a nonce joke about Celtic and Lee Griffiths. That's why I'm going to make it. I mean, he's the right club for Celtic. The biggest thing with the Lee Griffiths stuff, and nobody's really picked up on. See, when he was requesting photos, whoever it was, he didn't actually ask the question. He just sent the camera emoji, and that confirms my long-standing suspicion he does not have a grasp of the English language.
Just using pictures.
He's a fucking caveman. But then he's still on the bench. It's just one farce after another, and I don't want Rangers to ever get complacent in management or the players, but as fans we are allowed to have a look over them like they fucking no chance, surely.
I just can't see them challenging at all. I think they've got Hearts in the first game, and then I think they're in for a bit of a shock, to be honest. I think we could really open up a gap early doors, and they'll find it so hard to recover for that, you know. I think they might already be conceding it, you know. I think they might already be saying this is a rebuild season, but what they're doing doesn't look anything like a rebuild.
No. And the onus is on Rangers to, you know, take advantage of that and keep momentum. It's always about what Rangers do, regardless. And we're laughing and joking, but I've no suspicion, I've no concern that the management team or the players are going to down tools or be complacent. I think we are still in the ascendancy, and every football club at some point goes through the kind of stale season or the loop or whatever. I think we are still in the up. So I think Rangers just do what they do and do it well. Then absolutely no bother this season.
I agree. No, I think we're just going to continue to build, and that is important. You're right. See about this, looking at the city and looking at your shoulder. No, we don't. We keep going and we welcome the chase.
Yeah. Aye, the players need to do that. I'm going to wholeheartedly keep an eye on what's happening and use that as my entertainment for the coming weeks. But I don't want Tavernier doing that. It's okay for me to do, no Tav. He just has to focus on his new midfield role that we've gave him. Aye. Well, last time we'll come to then, the Rangers B team. This is the first time ever that the Rangers B and the Celtic B have been allowed to compete in the Lowland League. So the Rangers B team, they'll be playing their games in Dumbarton Stadium. It seems a fucking trek away, Dumbarton, but there we go.
A trek for where? For Rutherglen?
Aye.
It's across the bridge, that's you.
Across what bridge?
The Kingston Bridge, not the Kingston Bridge, the Erskine Bridge.
Aye, the Erskine Bridge is a trek away for me, and I need to go across it.
Get yourself up there, crank me stadium, climb the rock and look down.
I know why you just wanted to get that sentence in. Coming back for when we both played for Newlands, it was I played away in the Scottish Cup or whatever, driving over the Erskine Bridge. I'm in the back seat with Graeme, and you didn't even announce it to him. We just heard you whispering yourself. Oh, what a fucking bridge, man! Favourite bridge.
That is my favourite bridge of all the bridges I've ever been on. Erskine Bridge is my favourite. You can look to the right and you can see Glasgow. Look to the left and you can see the wilderness of Loch Lomond. And aye, my favourite bridge of all time. Anyway, get yourself there to Western Bridge, enjoy the scenery, and then get yourself up to Dumbarton, climb the rock, and you'll have a great view, a bird's eye view of the game.
Brilliant, and it may be something I'll actually take up this season, because if they made a cracking start. First game at home to Bo'ness United, they won 2-0. Then they went away to Spartans and won 2-0 as well. Great to see it's a really good start, but it's good. I think the biggest thing with this is it's good to see a different option for the young players. Obviously, there's for years and years, Rangers have kind of neglected the young players. We've got nowhere near enough through the academy than what we should have. But it's been kind of one size fits all. Everybody either makes it there and then or goes out on loan. It's good to see that you've got the option of maybe going out on loan to the lower division, building up like a Stephen Kelly, for example, or playing your trade in the Lowland League. You know, not the most technical leagues, obviously, but playing against seasoned semi-professionals, real men, and having to learn that side of the game.
Guys that have dropped for the professionals as well, you know, they'll get guys that have dropped for the professional league doing into this Lowland League. So it will be a challenge for them, but let's see how they get on. I don't recognise a lot of the players. They must have graduated quite a lot for the academy. So I don't recognise a lot of the player names. I know
18, 19-year-olds. So again, that's a massive jump. You've got boys like Charlie Lindsay, who I'm sure is only 17, Robbie Ure, I think he's maybe 18, 19, but it's younger players who are technically gifted, who are having to jump up to this this physical challenge.
Yeah, good on them. Obviously it's a trial season, isn't it? It's just a one season only, and then we'll see where we go. But I know there was an SPL vote recently, and we've been knocked back for coming into the SPFL. So if we are, it's going to have to be the Lowland League for a while now. But it's got to be the route, because we've not really had a reserve league for, I don't know, 10, 20 years or something since we've had a reserve league. So we've not really had that opportunity to pit youngsters against that level of player. Guys that have played the game and played at that level. So yeah, let's see how it goes. Let's see. It's an experimental season. Let's see how it pans out. But it's certainly a good start, as you say. A couple of good results in there already.
And good on them. I think it'll be really interesting to see. So it's only initially meant to be a 1-year stint in the Lowland League.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be really interesting to see the financial impact this has on the Lowland League clubs, and then if they still only want it to be 1 year. I've got a suspicion once they see and Celtic will be the same, that there'll be a lot of revenue, a lot of ticket sales for clubs who wouldn't usually have it. That'll be a very, very tough decision for the board members of these clubs to knock back.
And the towns. All these wee towns will be getting supporters coming along as well, so it boosts the economies of these wee towns. I always thought that when we were going to Alloa and Greenock, and we were going all over the country, Elgin, all these places, all these towns must have had such a economic boost before what we've done as well, and I think we were welcomed. I was on a few buses over Scotland when I was doing the away trips, and you could feel that. You could feel that we were welcome, and I'm sure the places like Bo'ness will welcome us as well.
Yeah, Rangers fans single-handedly doing more for the country than what the current government have ever done. So, in that note, Graeme, any last thoughts or anything you want to talk to the listeners about?
One player who did leave in Buda, I'm not sure I'm saying Dapo in Buda.
Buda, aye.
He was a bit of one that I wanted to keep. I thought he looked promising whenever I'd seen him, but kind of probably in the same level or the same sort of bracket as I was putting Stephen Kelly and Kai Kennedy, and I had them grouped together and I thought they would come through, but he's decided to move on, or we've decided to move him on, one of the two, but he's not made the cut.
Nathan Young-Coombs as well. There was a lot of clamour about him, and a lot of fans disappointed that he moved on, or fans say we allowed him to move on. But I think, well, yes, there was talent there. I think he did struggle to adapt to like living in Glasgow, living away from home, and you need to remember the weight of the Rangers jersey. It's there'll be big clubs down south. There's one city clubs, absolutely. One club cities, all that kind of stuff. But the Old Firm are national. It's only two teams in the league really. It's the Rangers jersey and the expectation that goes along with it. And a lot of the time, more often than not, that's what will hold players back, whether it's new signings or coming through the youth ranks.
Yeah, and sometimes it just needs a break to get you that confidence away. Patterson just took his opportunity. In the first 10 minutes of him appearing on a Rangers strip, you just went, oh, he's a player. And his confidence has built ever since. And, within 6 months, he's off to the Euros.
Aye, exactly.
Because fucking Steve Clark will only pick him. Ridiculous decision, that, wasn't it?
I know, by the way, we've not had a chance to...
Ridiculous.
And see, have you seen that Lemmy video of don't back down, double down, don't back down, double down? See, when Steve Clark, he didn't pick Nathan Patterson for Stephen O'Donnell, fuck, here we go, right? But then even afterwards, after the fact, when Billy Gilmore got man of the match against England, Steve Clark was asked about him. He was doubling down. He's like, he was man of the match behind my wee pal Stephen O'Donnell.
Yes. Aye, so it was a bit it was to be expected, but it's so disappointing. Like, as I said, not much you can say about it. Such a great opportunity to play a guy like that, and we've let it slide.
And it's not that. It's not just to the players' detriment. I generally do believe it was to the team's detriment as well, the Scotland nationals team.
Definitely. I don't make so many errors and just... he's just a big care horse, but we knew he was going to be like that. Everybody could see it. And it's just misplaced trust that Steve Clark's got in him. It's so odd. But that was one of the disappointments. But hopefully he's learned from the experience of being at a tournament, and I guess playing a game or training with good players as well, I guess, in the training camp would have been a good experience for him. But let's hope he kicks on as well, yeah.
And let's hope the next Scotland manager gives him a bit more leeway to go and do his thing, because we all know once Big Ange fucks off in November, Steve Clark will take up the mantle at Parkhead. He
isn't a placeholder in it. He's not there for long at all.
Yeah, I know.
He doesn't even look as if he wants to be there. I've seen a few of his interviews and he just does not seem to care. It's like, bring it on.
No, but we didn't do a Twitter part of the week, but I've seen this on Twitter, so we'll talk about this before we round off. Obviously, his post-match interview, he said when they drew with fucking Midtjylland the other night, he said we deserved the 3 points. Brilliant. But I seen a Celtic fan put up the clip of Steven Gerrard talking about the Lions Den and trying to compare it. You remember when Stephen?
No, I've seen the clip. I seen it this week, but I didn't understand what. So I was right to be confused. There was no. Okay. It sounded like a good interview for him, like a good sort of analogy that Steven Gerrard said.
The only comparison is there's people making an arse of themselves. In the first video, Big Ange has made an arse of himself. And in the second video, Steven Gerrard makes an arse of the journalist.
Yeah, okay. Sometimes I'm a bit slow with these things, but I'm glad I was right to be confused. I couldn't understand why he was pointing that out to us. Sensible thing for me.
You just love Gerrard's disdain for some of the journalists, don't you? It's a thing. Thinking about a Steven Gerrard destiny is as good a time as any to finish up for this week. Thank you everybody for listening, and this is the first week back. We'll be back every week until we win 56. Let us know your feedback in the comments. What you want to hear in the next coming weeks. We'll pretty much wing it or go with what you want to hear. All I have to do is thank you, Graeme Curry, for joining me.
Cheers, Colin. Other people.
Yeah, well, we certainly are. And again, to reiterate, we're still champions. We are still champions. Thanks very much for listening. Take care.